That's the sound of a big deal. At Wayfair, that sound happens a lot. Dream sofa for half the price? Big deal. New dining table you've been eyeing for months? Big deal. Finally picking up those last few pieces and finishing that bedroom? Now that's a really big deal. Whatever your home needs, Wayfair has the selection, the savings, and over millions of 5-star reviews to back it up. Shop Wayfair.com today before someone else snags your big deal.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
Why should we be sincerely curious about our audience's wants and needs? Stay tuned and find out.
Welcome.
Okay, here's the question.
You serious?
How are we dark horses? You know, the ones everyone is betting against, the ones they don't expect to win, place, or even show on the track, and they'll even laugh on us when we talk about trying. How do we show the world our greatness and triumph?
Come on.
Well, that's the question, and this podcast will give you the answers.
Let's go.
This is The Dark Horse Entrepreneur. My name is Tracy Brinkman.
And push it up.
Well, welcome back to your weekly dose of productivity and copywriting learning. I'm your Dark Horse host, Tracy Brinkman, and you, well, that's infinitely more important. You are a driven entrepreneur or a business owner or hoping to be one soon. Either way, you're here because you're ready to start, restart, kickstart, or just start leveling up with some great marketing, personal, or business results in order to build that beautiful business of yours into the empire it absolutely deserves to be. Another big interview episode today. Today, Andreas Roaro shares his awesome tips on copywriting and what 2 skills that we as entrepreneurs need to master to level up our game. Plus, I'm going to let you in on our next interview episode's guest who's on a mission and he's documenting it to become a billionaire. As per usual, the Dark Horse Corrals are chock full of personal, business, and marketing GOLD spilling from every corner of the Dark Horse Entrepreneur HQ. So let's get to the starting gates and go. All right, my Dark Horse friends and family. Today's guest is Andreas Roaro, and his copy has earned millions of dollars in revenue for his clients. Andreas quit college in order to make money online, and like most of us Dark Horse entrepreneurs, people thought he was a little crazy. And yeah, he failed over several years, but eventually he beat those odds and he proved it could be done. Where Andreas lives and an environment he is in is extremely weird, to be fair. Now, when Andreas found some success, he found himself extremely unhappy and even angry. But he used his own persuasion skills to reprogram his subconscious mind, and out of all of his achievements, he lists that as his favorite one. All right, Andreas, I will just want to take a second and welcome you to the show. And how you doing today?
Very good, man. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm glad you were able to come on here. And I literally just want to step back from the microphone, like I told you, and let you tell your story of coming up to doing what you're doing today and why you love doing it so much.
I started my first business around college. Mm-hmm. And it didn't go well, but eventually I decided to give it another go. Some people ask me like, how did you got started in all the internet marketing things? And I'm pretty sure it was something along the lines that I Googled, like something around how to start a business and like travel right. and meet chicks or something like that. And eventually I started doing like online business. I tried several like things, and I came to the realization that the most important thing if you want to like any type of business, the most important thing that you can learn is how to persuade people to buy. But if you're gonna do that online, you have to learn copywriting. So that's how I got started in copywriting. Because I realized the best businesses, the best business owners that know how to make money online, they know copywriting. Mm-hmm. Sometimes they don't know how to run Facebook ads, or they don't know how to, do the 75 automations you need to do in email marketing. But what they do know is how to persuade people with words, and in online, that's with copywriting. So I didn't go into copywriting like, yeah, that's like my passion. I want to do that. I was like, okay, that's something that I recommend to people, is that if you want to learn a business, you have to learn the skills behind that business. And sometimes those skills, like people are always like, oh, learn, like go and follow your passion and all that, and I'm all for that. But sometimes you have to learn the skills that are important. And for example, if you want to be an NBA player, you need to learn how to train. And training might not be the sexiest part of being a basketball player, but you have to do it. Like it's not like all games and winning the NBA championship. Like no, it's also like the part of training and all that. And copywriting, I discovered was a fundamental skill if you want to make it online. So I decided to learn it and see. I was out of ideas after trying many. I was like, well, I'm going to learn this skill, and maybe later I'll come back to starting a business. And that's actually a way that many online marketers start. Like they learn copywriting and they do other things. Many people don't know this, but for example, Epiphany and Russell Brunson, for example, they actually did this. Todd Brown, for example, and many others, right? So that's what I started to do, and eventually more opportunities opened. But that's what happened in my path.
Nice. Now, I know you said it wasn't like, oh, I'm passionate about copywriting skills, but you realized there was a magic in that persuasion of good copywriting skills, and you went out and kind of learned it. How would you suggest others who were wanting to do the same thing? What kind of things could they embark upon to get better at their copywriting?
Well, to get better at copywriting, you need to learn three skills basically. So one is like to get good at writing and expressing yourself, and in copywriting specifically, but I think in most writing, like many people is like, oh, what's a good writer? And they think back to college and,
right.
and a lot of things is like, no. Like the most important thing is like people understand you, and that you have actually a fluent way of expressing yourself in writing, right? For example, the other day I went to a forum and said like, I forgot how this translates in English, but like the comma, and that's like there's a dot with a comma as well, right?
Oh, the semicolon. Mm-hmm.
Semicolon, exactly. And I said to people that don't use the semicolon. Like it's not like most people don't understand like why is it there, and you don't want your readers thinking like why is it there. Another thing is that everything that you can express with a semicolon is like most likely you can actually take it out like and do it in 2 sentences or 3 sentences, and most people like will understand it better. And people were like, oh no, the grammar, and like people started to attack me and all that. But it's like, I don't know, like you have to understand that you're not writing to win like the best grade in college. You're actually writing for people to understand you. So
mm-hmm.
So for example, a lot of things I say to writers like, why do you write like in paragraphs that are 4 sentences long? Like most people have pauses when they speak, and actually their paragraphs, if you were to like transcribe it, there would be like 1 sentence, 2 sentences, like not that such big chunks. So that's one, writing well. Sorry that I'm taking so long to answer this question.
No, that's okay. You're doing very well.
So that's the first thing. The second thing, it's you have to understand persuasion really well, like what makes people tick, and be very good in persuasion. And as I said, like even if you don't like intend to use copywriting in your life, I'm pretty sure that if you have like some like good professional goals, like persuasion is so important. Persuasion and influence, like you don't have to learn copywriting to succeed at life. You have to learn copywriting if you want to have like an online business, but if you want to succeed at life, like for example, you might be like I don't know, like sports agent, and you're gonna have to be really good at influence and persuasion to like sign players and like make teams like sign them or whatever professional goal you have. Like influence and persuasion are really, really important.
I would agree. Definitely huge factors.
Yeah, and people hate that, right? Like, but like it's important. Like you have to learn, and there's a way to do it like without being an asshole. That's also important.
That's a very important point.
Yeah. it's also important to know, like, there's a way to do it, like, with being an asshole. And there are people that like achieve greatness by being assholes. And but yeah, like sometimes, like, that's why it gets a bad rep. But you also have to know that you don't have to do that exactly. Like, I say to people, you can have the power of influence and be like Gandhi or Mandela, or you can be like Hitler. And
absolutely.
So so that's the second. And the third one, it's like and this has to also do with influence and persuasion. But most people think that influence and persuasion is just about like saying the words that people want to hear, and like and you're like magical, and you're like, I don't know, like Professor X in X-Men, and you're like, do what I say you want to do, and people do it because you're so good. And actually, in sales, for example, if you want to be a really good salesman, you have to be really good at listening. So in copywriting, you don't have the opportunity to listen to people. Well, you can actually do it like for research, but so the most important part in persuasion is knowing what people want to hear. So you have to do a lot of research. And so for a copywriter, like they think like how's your day? And that I start the day and I just start writing, and like amazing sales letters come out of my like imagination. And it's like, no, like I actually research a lot. Like I spend more time researching than writing. So so the quality, it's not research per se. I would say like just be like really curious. Like that's gonna take you far in life as well. Like even if you're not a copywriter, like being interested in like why things work. And something that I realized, like in the people that I enjoy the most hanging around, like to hang around, is that they're not married to any idea. And the most like intelligent people I can think about, they can balance two opposing ideas in their head and like find like the balance that works for them, and understand that like that balance does not apply to everyone else. And the best example I can give is like, I don't know, like you can hear the discussion. It's like, oh, you have to learn how to work smart, and you can work very few hours if you learn how to work smart. And there's other people that go like, oh, you have to work 14 hours a day and work hard and hustle and all that. And it's like, and what's the answer? Like the answer is like, have those two opposing ideas, like juggle them in your head and find what works for you. And you're actually going to find like most of the time you don't have to go to any extreme. Like the 4-hour work week, like most people don't want that, but they are perfectly fine with a 4-hour work day. So like, yeah, like balance and do what works for you. So
you're now listening to the Dark Horse Entrepreneur Podcast.
I actually liked your little piece you put in there about being very curious and not being married to a specific idea. It certainly, I think a lot of folks can get into a rabbit hole and be stuck on an idea that maybe its time was great when they first had it, but it has gone by and there are better, faster, stronger ways to do this or do that, or, execute something more efficiently.
Yeah, there's a phrase that says something. Let me see if I can remember it, but it says, "Yesterday's Epiphany is today's Crutch."
Ah, I like that one. I haven't heard that one. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and it's really true. Like what got you to where you are today, like it's not necessarily what's gonna get you to where you want to be tomorrow. And like it's very important to like analyze your life and see like, oh, maybe it's time to drop some ideas, and maybe there are really good ideas that got you like really far in life, but you have to drop it if you want to go to the next level. And that's not only like in business or whatever, like even in happiness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, life in general. I think that's one of the cool things about if you have a very curious personality, like you were mentioning, that you may have a good idea, but if you continue your search via curiosity, you might find that one thing that takes your idea to the next level, or maybe even enhances it. And you're like, oh my gosh, if I combine these two things, now it becomes magic. So you could even say,
yeah. like even in things like, for example, there's this really smart consultant, business guru, Jay Abraham. I'm pretty sure like most people know it.
Yes.
But like I just clarify for the people that don't, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Jay, for example, says like sometimes I look at businesses that do like X and find ways they do things, so I can apply that to businesses that do Y and or A or whatever. Like they are completely different, like different industries or niches or whatever.
Right.
But you can still like take those lessons, and you can do that like in many paths in life. Like not in all of them, of course. Like but you can learn a lot from other areas or whatever. And yeah, like I
absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. You can learn so many cool ways to do things. I know many moons ago I was deep in the logistics arena of things, and we had an opportunity to go visit the Disney World facilities, the behind the scenes logistics, and it's like a city, of course. And just seeing the ways they were doing some things, I came back with all these ideas. I was working at Coca-Cola at that time to take a couple of things I saw and enhance how we were doing things at our facilities. And it was magic, because I was like, oh, wow, it's just so cool.
yeah. And I'm pretty sure like from Disney, you can learn so much.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, and I think that actually goes to, learning from those that are ahead of you, right? So I guess in your case, in the copywriting world, learning from folks like the Russell Brunsons and so forth of the world that are light years ahead of where I am. For certainly, I could learn many things from them. Learning from a coach, right, or going out into a mastermind and absorbing some of that new information to improve your ideas.
That's like so true. Like, like for example, I think it's good to know like who has a life that I want to have, and go and learn from them.
Mm-hmm.
And I also like to have, like, for example, I want to learn from Russell Brunson, but I also want to learn, like, for example, best practices of that local businesses have.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you enrich your like thoughts and whatever, and you can have like breakthrough ideas. And actually in copywriting, this is extremely important, because copywriters have this what they call the research phase. And for example, in research, you're trying to learn a lot about the avatar, but also about the market. And for example, it's very important in a world where everybody has like it's trying to get your attention. You have to have a unique idea in order to get people's attention. So you have to know the market and what kind of ideas have people said before, so you can come up with a new one. And how do you come up with new ideas? Like by exposing yourself to as much ideas as possible, and like closing yourself to, like I sell internet marketing, I'm just exposing myself to internet marketing. It's like, no, you can find the ideas like in whatever, right? So
right.
Yeah, and that's actually, and that can help you also to justify like watching Netflix.
Okay, so you just got everyone's attention right there by saying, okay, now I can justify sitting down there and binging Netflix or Amazon Prime or whatever. That's a good one right there.
Yeah, of course, like be intentional about it. It's like if you should be like working, like of course don't be watching Netflix. But I also, for example, don't like this discourse that people go like, it's like, like if you want to be an entrepreneur, you never open like Netflix again, you never like watch Netflix again.
I was actually I forget how I stumbled across it, but I stumbled across an article that was saying, like the top 12 movies that entrepreneurs actually should watch. And there were some of the obvious ones in there, like Wall Street and ones like that. You're like, okay, I get that. But there were some other ones that were a little different. Some of them were a little more indie and off the mainstream. But, as I read through the bio for the movie, it was like, okay, well, now it makes sense why you would want to learn these facets, whether the facets were, entrepreneurship or being a leader or, public speaking or, financial analysis. Each one of these different movies that they served up kind of rotated around that arena. One of them that really caught me off guard was the Catch Me If You Can.
Okay.
That was the, oh my gosh, what's his name? Leonardo DiCaprio, where he portrayed the life of that forger, right? And, through his career, but the whole reason that they suggested that entrepreneurs watch that movie, because it was all about using what he had at his fingertips, using the resources you have to make good and to advance yourself. And that enables you to get more resources to advance yourself, to get more resources to advance yourself. I'm like, all right, I get it. I've seen the movie and I actually enjoyed it, but I never looked at it from that angle. Now, the next time I watch it, I will be looking at it from that angle.
Interesting.
Right. So one of the things I wanted to ask you about is, in the intro, you actually called out that it was weird for you to succeed in the online world in your environment. That you actually used a phrase, it was extremely weird to be fair. Why was it so weird for you to, be successful in the online world?
Of course, like 90%, 80-90% of success has to do with your mindset and your limiting beliefs. And
Great.
In my environment, especially so for example, like today you can find more, but I started back like 8 years ago. It's not, compared to some people, like it's not a lot, but compared to many, it's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And 8 years ago, like I think no one was talking about online business and online marketing, like at least in my city. Like, of course, in the internet, like that was happening. But yeah, like for example, me dropping out of college to start an online business, that was weird for most people. And of course, that's not like a justification or anything, but it obviously affected my mind, or I think it's better to say I let it affect my mind.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's why it was weird. I probably, like, if I like started again or something, I would have done more to set boundaries about like what people, like not listen to many people that I shouldn't have, and listen more to the people that were in this world. But yeah, it got lonely, and me trying to do this, like it was like, yeah, it was weird and really weird.
How would you say you kind of navigated that loneliness? And actually, what you're describing to me is kind of that dark horse persona. In other words, you're out there on your own. No one is expecting you to win, and you believe you can. I mean, how did you navigate that?
Now I see why. Dark horse.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Well, I think it's very important to know, like, sometimes we get lost in feelings and thoughts. And it's very important to know, like, how real are they? So, for example, a lot of people are afraid of things that are not, you should not justify being afraid of those. You feel them and you think those, but it's very different to I meditate a lot, and I started doing that like 2 years ago. I used to think meditation was like for the weird and for the woo-woo, and I love this one, because when I say people, like, I meditate, a lot of people are like, they understand why I do it, but it's like, oh, I could never do it because I just start meditating, I start to think a lot. And it's like, dude, that happens to everyone that starts to meditate. Like, you're not special. But they believe that they are the only ones that have a mind that cannot shut up. And the reason why meditation is important is because it helps you, and it's not the only way to do it, but there's a reason why every day more and more people get in at the bandwagon, and like more CEOs, like more athletes even. Like I started to see like some NFL teams start to hire meditation coach, so they know like there's a reason why.
Mm-hmm.
What meditation gives you is like you can look at, like, for example, the feelings, the thoughts, and just like choose. Like, yeah, I have that thought, but there's no reason why I have to engage it in, or I have that feeling. There's no reason like why I should like go down that path. And I like, for example, if you get angry, like it's okay to be angry, but you can be at peace being angry, and that's very different, like from like just feeling anger and let anger take over you, or just observing anger. And I know that's like weird, but until you start to practice it, like it starts to make more sense.
I totally get where you're coming from on that.
Okay, but of course I didn't know how to do that back then. But where I'm going with this is that back then I used to believe that, I don't know, like I used to believe my thoughts and emotion a lot. Something very cool is that you actually learn that's not like, those are not real dangers. Those are not real, like, I mean, people have a disproportionate way of thinking, like things like, for example, for men, heterosexual men, like go and talking to a girl, like can be frightening. Because we think like whatever, like, but you go and do it and you realize it's not the end of the world. Like, for example, public speaking is like, they categorize public speaking as one of the fears that are the highest, like close to the fear of death. And it's very, very, very weird, because if you are honest about it, the worst that can happen is that you go out to the stage and you like do it and people hate you. Well, not hate you, but they don't understand you, and no one pays attention to you, and you like suck. But that's the worst. Like, you're not gonna die.
Right.
And what I can say, like looking back, is back then I used to believe that those fears and those like doubts were very, very real. And going through them, I realized that nothing happens. Today, like I'm even better at dealing with that, because I can learn. Like back then, I let them absorb me, and I just pushed through them by just patience. Seriously, a lot of people don't understand, like, it's gonna be okay. Like, you start a business, you're broke, seriously trust you're gonna be okay. Like, more than likely you're not gonna like die of hunger because of your business. Things are gonna get hard, but if you just give it time, like, things are gonna like figure themselves out. But if you also learn meditation, you also or learn how to observe your thoughts and process your feelings and all these things, you can actually like be at peace in the storm. And that's a very powerful like tool, because you can, what I'm trying to say in a way is like, you can go through the storm and freak out and understand that the storm is going to pass, but you're not going to enjoy the fact that you freaked out in the storm. Or you can actually learn these skills to control your emotions and all that, and be in the storm and not freak out. And either way, the storm is going to pass, but at least in one way, you are at peace in the storm.
I get you on that one. I've been on, unfortunately, both sides of that emotional fence, where you're in the heat of the battle and you're all worked up, and the battle is over and you're still all worked up. Where I've been in those ones where you're in the heat of the battle, but you're like, okay, I'm going to get through this. Let me deal with my feelings, but continue on at the same time. And then when everything's over with, you're like, phew, all right, that was bad, but here I am. I'm okay now.
Yeah. It's funny because they say like for example, if there's like an antelope and there's a lion, and the lion wants to eat the antelope, the antelope runs away, and it was stressful. But he managed to get away. He's not going to be like 3 days from that experience like, oh, remember that time the lion went after me? It's like, only humans do that.
Absolutely right. I get it. That's awesome. Now, I know one of the things you've been doing in copywriting, I think there's been a lot of freelancing in your world, and you actually mentioned you were looking at creating a publishing business. What's kind of led you down that path? Well,
it's funny because like eventually things started to line up with what I thought like many years ago. Like, what I wanted to do like was learn copywriting just for the sake of learning a skill, because back then I was in a point where I was not like ready to just do what I wanted to do. Like for some reason, I just said like, well, at least I'm going to learn a skill. Even if I'm completely honest, I didn't even know if I wanted to be an entrepreneur, but I knew that if I learned copywriting, I was going to open a lot of professional opportunities in my life. Like either that's like a business, or I could work with amazing internet marketers or whatever. So and that's something that I sometimes I do not say the same advice to all people, because people require different advice depending on who they are. But for some people are like, oh, I want to like start a business, but I am not sure what and whatever. It's like, well, why don't you get a job in sales? And if you get a job in sales and you really crush it, like you can become a sales manager. And from there, like actually the career in sales is the one that has the most straightforward line to become a CEO. But if you, for example, after a while, like you decide to start a business, you're at least going to start it with the skill of knowing how to sell. Yeah, like if you're not completely sure what you're going to do, like at least learn a valuable skill.
Yeah, absolutely.
So back then I was like, well, I want to learn copywriting, and maybe one day I am going down the path of starting my own business or whatever. And yeah, like I'm in that point right now where I have started to like create my own products in some niches, and yeah, experimenting with not only having the income of being a copywriting or marketing consultant. I also start to go and start my own business, and that's very cool to do it from this point, because back then I had a lot of uncertainty, and a skill for any entrepreneur is like knowing how to be at peace with uncertainty. But there's a point where too much uncertainty is not good. Like you need a healthy dose of like, I don't know, like knowing, for example, like, I don't know, like you're in the dark, but at least you know how to start a fire or whatever. Pretty much a feeling like that. And right now I'm in that position, like, yeah, like from my experience of working with a lot of clients, I know I can sell stuff, and it's easier to also get into partnerships. Like, for example, I have a partner that he's really good at like traffic and all that. The reason why he wants to work with me as a partner is because I have a skill. Like before, like who will want to work with a kid that doesn't know anything about business?
You're now listening to the Dark Horse Entrepreneur Podcast.
So I wanted to move on and see, pick your brain for a top tip that you would pass on to the entrepreneurs listening. Tip, piece of advice, say someone's getting ready to jump out on their own and you're like, oh, dude, before you do that, know this. Or if you're already doing it, know this.
Yeah. So yeah, it took me a while to think about it, but yeah,
sure.
Now I have it. So the two, I say learn. Like these are not easy skills to learn. They're, if you understand that you have to learn them eventually, like if you really want to be successful as an entrepreneur, even as an employee or as a person, like the two ones like that I would say are the most important are productivity. Everyone could benefit from learning that. Like even if you are like business owner, employee, whatever, like, and if you are able to master like a calendar, you're gonna get extremely far in life. Like athletes, like the best ones, like are masters of their calendar, and understand that it's okay if you suck at the beginning, like, but just get better at it. And if you practice for a year or 2 years, you're gonna be so grateful that you mastered this one. Especially a lot of people are like, oh, I hate the idea of using a calendar. I'm a free spirit or whatever. And it's like,
right.
Okay, but understand that discipline brings freedom, and eventually you want to be able to, I don't know, like, oh, I'm a free spirit. Okay, like why don't you go for vacations for the next month? Like, oh, I don't have the money or the time. Ha. You would have it if you actually plan for things.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I'm still getting better at it. But yeah, I really discovered that has been a game changer for me the last year or 2 years. Last year, I think, like not 2 years ago, I was not that productive. That's the first one. And the second one is just choose a skill, choose the skill that you're going to need for business, and the one that you really want to master. That can be sales, that can be copywriting, that can be, for example, traffic, that can be networking. There are a lot of skills that you can have, but they normally have to do with influence. Like, and choose a skill that you want to hone down that has influence in it. Is like, if you're an entrepreneur, like, yeah, you're gonna need to like learn how to be very influential, but there are a lot of ways that you can express that. Yeah, that can be, for example, by being really good at sales, by being really good at copywriting, by being really good at, for example, networking. That's why some people like, oh, how did you like create a business that's so big. It's like, oh, okay, I like got a lot of affiliates and JV partners and stuff. Like, oh, that's extremely interesting. Like your job is like to network. It's like, But yeah, whatever way, like learn influence and learn a way to apply it. Those two, you have to choose one. Like you cannot be the best traffic person and also the best copywriter and whatever. You can be like really good at one and decent at another one. But yeah, like all of them, you cannot. So,
Focus in on those two. Get good at mastering your calendar and pick a business skill with influence. I like that. Absolutely good stuff. All right, Andreas, if folks wanted to learn more about you and your skills and what it is, all the goodness that is Andreas Roaro, is that so?
Yeah, Roaro.
Where would they find you at?
So you can find me, like the easiest way to reach out to me are like in my social media profiles. Facebook and LinkedIn are the best one. I think especially Facebook. LinkedIn, I don't check it that often, but I do check it. But yeah, that's facebook.com/andres.roaro, and LinkedIn. I don't know I think the handle is very similar. But yeah, like if you search for my name, I'm pretty sure that you can find me. There are a lot of people with my name, so
excellent. I will make sure the links to that are in the show notes for you. Any final thoughts before we let our audience go?
Thanks a lot, Tracy. This has been a really nice chat. So yeah,
appreciate it. I definitely appreciate your time, Andreas. Thanks so much.
Thanks to you, man.
All right, there you have it, my Dark Horse friends and family. Andreas Roaro dropping some international knowledge bombs for us. Here's a few thoughts I walked away with. Thought number 1. Here is another example of getting started by Googling. Yeah, you've heard a few of our guests get started this manner, finding their way via the search engines of either yesteryear or today. Andreas, along his path, found the key for him was being able to persuade people to buy. And in that online, you need to learn copywriting. He found that most successful businesses online had their copywriting on point. So that drew him to that path. Even though it really wasn't his passion, he realized if you want to learn the business, you have to learn the fundamental skills that support the business. Thought number 2, learn to communicate with your audience. Write and communicate your message in a natural, succinct format. Stop trying to inflate your own ego by writing with those huge words that are really not necessary, and perhaps even slowing down the comprehension of the very person you're trying to share your message with. Stop using 27 words when you can say it in 20 or 7 or 2. Be effective and be efficient in your communication. Your audience will appreciate it. Thought number 3, understand persuasion. Understand how you can ethically persuade your audience. Now, to do that, you're going to have to understand your audience. So you're going to have to be willing to take a strong stance on topics. Usually that's probably why you're an entrepreneur in the first place, because you have a strong stance. You're going to have to step in and get small wins. You're going to have to adjust your rate of speech or the type of writing to mirror and match that of your audience, even if it means being a little unprofessional in the process. Unless, of course, your audience is 110% professional. Lastly, be sure to take into account how your audience prefers to consume their information. Thought number 4, listen. Almost enough said here, but let me give you a little bit more. In writing and everything else in your business, be sincerely curious and do your research. So basically, you could say that that's listening in advance of the writing or presenting your information or offer. And then thought number 5, what lessons from one part of your life or one part of your business can you apply to other areas of your business or your life or in other businesses entirely? I mean, if you learn something amazing in your business, like, the power of listening in relationships, right? Well, then perhaps you need to apply that same learning to other parts of your life, like your relationships. Just saying. What ideas or inspiring tips or thoughts resonated with you today? Whatever they were, take some time and put them into action. Go out there, run your race, get your results, and let me hear about them. Seriously. email me, tracy@darkhorseschooling.com, and share the tips or ideas that you came away with, how you put them into action, and what results you gained from them. Now, on our next interview episode, our guest is going to be Larry Normaiala, Larry is the owner of Artistic Editions Tattoo, and he's currently documenting his journey to become a billionaire. This is a guy I want to hear from, right? How about you? Now, I know you want to keep getting all these valuable tips and inspirational stories from this podcast and the guests that we're lucky enough to get on. So come on down there, hit subscribe, drop us a 5-star rating, leave us a quick review. Is there somebody you'd like us to interview? Let us know in the review. Send me an email, however you want to let me know about it. And perhaps you want to get to know us at a little more intimate level. Come on over to the Dark Horse Tribe, our Facebook group. You can go to Facebook, and in that search bar up there, type in Dark Horse Tribe, and you should find us right at the top. If for some reason that's not working, go to your favorite web browser, type in darkhorseschooling.com/Dark Horse Tribe, hit that enter key, and that should take you straight there. Come on in and join us, get to know us on a little deeper level. And of course, you don't want to keep all this entrepreneurial GOLD all to yourself. Share this podcast with other entrepreneurs and business owners that you know will get value from it. And with that, I'm going to leave you as I always do. Think successfully and take action.
Thank you for listening to the Dark Horse Entrepreneur Podcast.
Thanks for tuning in.
Check us out at www.darkhorseschooling.com.
All right.
My name is Tracy Brinkman.